Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Salam Media. I'm your host, Dakir Dawood, taking you through for the last segment of the show. I was with you guys from 7 o'clock right through until 9 o'clock, but now we're going to be wrapping it up with a bit of a dream come true. And nope, I'm not lying. I'm not using a cliche. This is actually the truth. We're going to be speaking to Ameer Yusuf. He is all the way in Australia. He has contributed somewhat, or let's say he's made a massive contribution in the Springboks success. The Springboks recently concluded the Rugby Championship campaign after beating New Zealand 31-29 with Elton Yankees coming off the bench and turning the game around to secure victory for the world champions. However, many say if you look good, you feel good. And you're probably asking yourself, how does this tie with sport? Well, tonight I'm joined by a gentleman all the way in Australia whose dream has become a reality when he played part in the Springboks success when he filled in as the hairdresser while the Springboks were in Australia. Ameer Yusuf, based in Australia, is a barber for the past 5 years, and recently his dream became reality by sliding in someone's DMs. Dude, sounds like a love story.
Now that you put it that way, it kind of was, yeah.
Welcome to Salam Media. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you for having me. I appreciate it.
You have your eyes closed there. Do you want to tell our listeners and our viewers at home why they should be appreciating the segment and what time you woke up to be on air?
So it's currently 4:36 a.m. I'm not usually up this time for very long, so I do appreciate being on the show. There's not a lot of people I would have done this for.
Wow, I consider myself lucky. Thanks, Samuel. Dude, I mean, before we go any further, how did all of this come into reality?
For one, I was very, very lucky just to begin with. One of my friends gave me the idea a couple of years ago when the Springboks were on tour with the Wallabies. Um, a couple of the guys had some quite a few shockers. And he just looked at me and he said, "Man, why don't you just cut their hair?" And the idea had stuck with me ever since. So for the last couple of years, I've been trying to get my see if I can get to know anyone and things like that. So I messaged a couple of the boys this tournament on Instagram, and I was very lucky to get through. Spo Nkosi was the first one who replied me back. And I was literally jumping off the walls. It was insane. And then the following morning, Herschel Yankees replied to my message. And by that time, I was just completely over the moon. So I really got really lucky, and I'm, ever so grateful for the opportunities that I've been given.
I mean, many wouldn't know, but I mean, do you want to enlighten us and the viewers and the listeners? What is your link to South Africa?
Um, I feel like I have quite a strong link to South Africa. I've been in Australia for the last 23 years, and at no point in time that I've been here have I felt like I've been at home. My parents left 23 years ago. My dad got a job opportunity here in Brisbane, and I've been here ever since. But it, I don't want to say that I don't like it here. I really appreciate it. It's a fantastic country. We have plenty of opportunity, and we're very safe here. But home is home, man. There's nothing like South Africa. There's nothing like Africa in general.
And I mean, now you had a bit of home right by your home when you had the Springboks over. Interesting enough, a lot of South African rugby players' haircuts have come into a lot of criticism, the likes of Alton Yankees, and many would say it comes from the old folk because they're not quite used to the haircuts that myself and you would obviously lean towards. Looking at that, I mean, who was one of the most fun guys to cut? I mean, because like a lot of people don't understand, but for a gent, it's more than just a haircut. It's quite a sentimental and quite a deep connection you build with your barber. So, I mean, who was like your favorite person to cut, and who did you just feel you had that connection with during that time period?
I just want to dial it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
You said something about the haircuts that have come through these days for sports people. I think we can take a different look at it, because I think that's also one of the things that gets the young folk quite interested in sport. You get people like Ronaldo, and
Mm.
the next haircut he gets, everyone jumps on it. All the kids love it. I think it really gets kids into sport, um, more than we think. Um, for the person that I enjoyed cutting most, man, that's a really tough question. They were all really genuinely so great, such humble people, charismatic people. I think one of the haircuts that I did enjoy the most would probably be Damien Willemse. Um, I just like doing those sort of haircuts. Elton's haircut was great. It was a little bit difficult, but you know, you get through it in the end. Herschel for me was a little bit tough, just because usually it takes a little bit of time to get used to someone's haircut, after the first time, and then you go, okay, this is his hair type, this is how I do it, this is how I go about it. But really, genuinely, they were all incredible. I had a ball of a time.
A world champion team and a world champion headdress. I mean, what better combination could you ask for? Dude, looking at it, and I mean, as our captain there, as the visuals just go on screen. How long have you been in the industry, and what are some of your goals that you've set for yourself as a hairdresser?
I've been in the industry almost, I think, 8 or 9 years. Um,
Mm,
I guess my goals are to be the best at what I do. Just like everyone else, I just want to be at the top of my game in my field. One of my goals was to represent my country in any field that I was in. And I so happen to be a barber, and I'm so grateful to have represented my country for world champion team, you know.
mm.
Um, I think my next goal would probably be to hopefully join them in France for the 2023 World Cup. I'm a free contract waiting to be signed, so hopefully that comes through.
Well, CEO Mr. Yuri Roo, I hope that you are watching this evening, and I mean this gentleman here. You make sure he charges you rands and not dollars when you do take him over to France. It's actually become quite frequent. Um, now that you bring it up, I'm not sure if you've watched the Euros earlier this year, and you've seen that the French team, actually, for that matter, have traveled with their own barber. So this has become a thing in sport. And I mean, everybody, like we said earlier, I think it's just a gentleman thing that if you look good, you feel good, and that ultimately has a ripple effect on everything that's about to happen on the field. Because in sport, it comes down to that minimals, and whatever you do to feel good will have a direct impact on your performance. I mean,
Of
do you think
course.
that you've come into the market at the right time when things like this started trending?
I do think in a very, very weird way, and I don't mean to, I don't mean for this to come off wrong, but I think in a very weird way, COVID has sort of been a blessing for the situation. Um, for sports people to travel, they now have to be in a bubble. They've got to stick together. You know, I don't think sporting teams have come as far as to think about having a barber in the team, but I feel like now it's becoming a reality because people are so used to the situation, and now they're
Mm,
figuring out, how we can get away with different things. So I think COVID, to a certain extent, has brought my dream into light.
yeah.
And I think many teams do, or well, should think about having a barber in the team.
Mm.
The look good, feel good mentality is something that you can't ignore. Whether you do realize it or you don't, when you look good, it's almost like a weight lifted off your shoulder. You can form it,
Mm.
you can perform at your peak. You have more confidence, and people see you in a different way.
And I don't think many know, but I mean, you being a barber also means that you're a therapist, a psychologist, and also one of the brothers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't want to say too much because I felt like maybe it wasn't my place, but I just tried to motivate them as
Mm,
much as I could, you know. We didn't have too many very good games, but I mean, it's the boys. You can't not support them. This is your country, you know. You don't really have a choice in supporting them or not, whether you watch rugby or not.
mm.
You know, if you're South African, you're affiliated with the Springboks. This is, you know, in places like Australia, when people ask you where you're from and you say South Africa, they go, "Oh, Nelson Mandela. Oh, the Springboks." You know, this is just something that you're
Yeah.
inherently affiliated with. Um, and you know, for me, it's my team. I'll support them regardless, whether they win or they lose.
Mm.
We just want them to, you know, be at most comfortable with themselves and be in a position where they don't have to think about too much for them to, you know, cross the try line.
No, definitely. Yes, see, looking at everything, how things are going for you as well. Where do you see yourself in the next few years, and what goals have you set for yourself? Because I mean, obviously, all of this just started as a dream, and you've grown in your industry and in your field over these past few years, and now here you are. You're probably like one of South Africa's most favorite barbers, because I mean, I'm sure there's so many kids that look up to you and admire you um, because of what you've done. And now, where to from here? Where do we take it from here?
Um, wow. Look, like I said, I haven't set goals too far ahead of me. I
Mm-hmm.
still want to feel like I'm being relatively reasonable. Um, like I said, one of my goals is to be with the Boks at the 2023 World Cup. For me, right now, that's just the ultimate. I'd love and appreciate nothing more. Um, and when you say I'm possibly now South Africa's one of South Africa's most favorite barbers, I really appreciate that because you know it rings really true for me. When the guys you know shared my page on their Instagrams after their haircuts, I had so many people message me, and not just for a haircut. I've had people message me just to show their support. Hey, dude, you've done a great job. I've seen your haircuts. Wow, they look amazing, you know, and things like that. You know, I've had so many messages of support. I've felt so warm and welcome. Um, it's really been incredible. All the kids that say one day when you come back, I need to have a haircut from you. You know, that's something that I live for. That's why I got in the game.
No, definitely. Your story definitely inspired me, inspired so many South Africans. And I mean, for those out there at home, the listeners and the viewers that have not followed him already, can you please share your social handle so that they can get liking and following your page and keeping up to date with everything that you do?
Absolutely. Ghost Blanco underscore. Hit me out.
So, where did Ghost Blanco come from? Look as quickly.
It's obviously not my name. I had a couple of incidents where sharing my name probably wasn't the most fantastic idea. So
Hmm.
just for the sake of, you know, family safety and personal
Hmm.
space, I decided, you know, to come up with an alias and not share my true name. And obviously, Ghost, who is that? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And now, many people's gonna know you for your alias and not your actual name. Well, here we are.
There we go.
But look, man, thanks so much for joining me this evening. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to keep you out of sleep any longer. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you for keeping our boys fresh and making sure that they beat New Zealand in Australia just a couple of weeks ago. Elton Yankees obviously performing with his haircut that apparently gave him that extra boost of motivation. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me on the show. Appreciate it. We look forward to chatting to you soon and following your journey as you go along.
You're most welcome. I'm very grateful to be on the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
That was Ameer Omar, also known as Ghost Blanco, one that many people in the rugby circles will be following because of his notorious haircuts that he gave the Springboks while they were over in Australia. It started from the DMs and then his dream became a reality. His hustle and his motivation just to be the best version of himself really inspired me and so many other people because it's not every day that he made his dreams come true by messaging and not giving up on something that he wanted to do. And then he found himself cutting the Springboks hair. But yeah, that's it from myself, Rakib Daud. If you missed any piece of the show, it will be on our social media platforms. So you better tune in. Watched the previous interview. We chatted with Coach Desiree Ellis as well earlier, telling us a bit about Banyana's success. And then we also chatted to cricket commentator Hussein Manak, telling us what is going down at the ICC T20 World Cup. Tomorrow, South Africa will be taking on Sri Lanka in order to keep their semi-final hopes alive. Can South Africa do it? Later on the day, England will be taking on Australia, the two unbeaten teams in the group. One has to go down. Who's it going to be, England or Australia? You're going to have to wait and find out tomorrow afternoon. But that's it from myself, Rakib Daud. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the content and the entertainment that we gave you this evening. There was certainly lots of laughs and giggles. That's it from me. I hope to see you soon. And we're going to have another show real soon, chatting all things sport on Friday Night Sport with myself, Rakib Daud.